Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing visa runs here in Thailand. As a preface, and I'll get into this further analysis after I quote what I'm going to quote here, I know it sounds like a semantic point, but I make a distinction between border running and visa running because in my mind they're two different things. A border run is running over a border, be it a land border, getting on a plane, flying out, getting on a boat even and sailing out, and then basically just turning around and coming back into Thailand and receiving a new stamp, thereby creating a new duration of lawful status here in the kingdom. So for example, if you have a 30-day stamp, you're a US passport holder, you come to Thailand, you have a 30-day stamp, it's coming up for expiration on day 29, you get on a plane, you fly to Malaysia, you fly back in. Okay, boom, you get another 30 days. Oftentimes that's the way that it'll work. A land border, it can work that way too, although they're more stringent along the land borders than they were pre-COVID, or I should say pre-pandemic, or the protocols associated with the emergency decree that was triggered as a result of the finding that there was a pandemic. However you want to look at that, pre-2020, if you will, a lot easier to do land border runs than now. That being said, things have lightened up quite a bit. Land border runs are becoming more and more feasible. But that's what we're talking about when we're talking about border runs. Visa runs, in my mind, notwithstanding the quote, notwithstanding how it's referred to in this quotation, notwithstanding the quote in the title and the quotation I'm about to cite, visa runs to my mind are when you go to an actual embassy abroad, get a new visa and come back. And then that's like a visa run. This person that I'm going to quote, they're using them interchangeably. Again, I'm not making this point to be semantic. I'm making this point, and I'll get to it further in my further analysis, quoting directly. Good information, excuse me. Good information, thank you. Thai immigration is also cracking down on visa runs. I flew to Malaysia with only my backpack and left most of my belongings here in Thailand, expecting to get another 30-day visa stamp on arrival. I was rejected, detained, and deported back to Malaysia without any information on when I could return. Embarrassed and disappointed, I spent 2 months in Malaysia. Yeah, that's a sad state of affairs. Now, I don't know what the underlying facts are in that situation. As we've discussed in other videos, there is an immigration decree that was in the Royal Gazette which stipulated that 2 quote-unquote border runs were possible in a given calendar year. And that's been the rule of thumb to this point. Anything past that, and again, even that is subject to immigration discretion. So even if they opt, if they see somebody who's coming in for the first time to Thailand and Thai immigration officer just has some issue with them, they have the discretion to just say no in any case. But the rule of thumb, and the rule of thumb for Thai immigration is you get 2 of those a year. Now, I don't know if this person was on more than 2. I don't know if they had done multiple visa runs. Excuse me, even I messed this up. Multiple border runs. I would call this a border run, not a visa run. A visa run would be running to an embassy in Malaysia, getting a visa and then coming back, not just flying out to Malaysia, flying back in and using a visa exemption. That's how I look at it. And I think there's a good reason for the distinction because one of them actually has a visa, one of them doesn't. But okay, this person that did effectively a border run, I get their consternation here. They were detained. That's not good. They, wanted to come back into Thailand and stay here. But again, as we've discussed, since about 6 or 7 years ago, there was a major crackdown on tourists and those using exemption stamps to effectively live here. Prior to that point, this is another one of those scenarios where when people tell me I'm being a fearmonger about things like tax or work permits or, immigration things, and they say, they don't really want to mess with that. Yeah, they said the same thing to me 15 years ago about living in Thailand on 30-day stamps or living in Thailand and overstay. Knew a lot of people who told me that years ago. Oh, you just live here and overstay. Or living even on visas, but just tourist visas. Yeah, that era is over. And Thai immigration is very cognizant that people want to try to live in Thailand utilizing 30-day stamps, utilizing tourist visas, or even trying to go into overstay. As for overstayers, we've seen a lot of new enforcement associated with that, and I think it's just a bad idea in general, probably not even going to be effective in the long run to just live in Thailand on overstay. That said, And the thing to take away from this video is, are they cracking down on visa runs or border runs per se? No, I don't think so. What they are doing is more heavily scrutinizing people who are coming into Thailand on multiple visa runs or multiple tourist visas. And I think moving forward, you need to be aware of that. If you want to stay in Thailand long term, you need to get a long-term, well, not long-term, but you need to get a non-immigrant visa that is in line with your intentions to remain in Thailand, so as to be in Thailand legally and not put yourself in a position where you run into this problem as a result of just crossing a border.